Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Fight Room. First stream. Is this the first stream? No, it's not the first stream ever from the UK, but it is one of the first streams that we've done, well, this year here. I was here at Christmas time. But good morning to everyone in the UK. Good evening to everybody in the US. We've already got a few people in. 202 Ultra, who I know is in the US. Let me just do this. So thank you for coming on, mate. I saw that you were going to try and join, so I really appreciate that, bro. Thank you. So good morning to you. Good morning to Jamie Thomas. Good morning to MT. Crazy progress on the channel lately. It is going all right, actually, to be fair. Like, I have no... I'm good. I'm happy with it, but I'm also always thinking about how I can keep pushing it and get more, which is just my personality, I suppose. But I'm pleased with it. Corey Bochi, big up, mate. How are you? Good morning to David. David, who's always here for the streams. David does not miss a stream. So we got a few things. Thank you, Cash Money. Welcome back to the UK indeed. It's very nice to be here. The UK in summertime is one of the best places in the world. And I always forget how good it is because there's so much winter. Good morning, Chris Gray. How are you, bro? Not the Chris Gray I used to work with. Another Chris Gray. P, my guy Henry, my guy P. I'm not sure who you are, but I imagine we get on great. Hang on, what's going on here? I've bought a microphone stand. You'll notice in my my Dillian Whyte career review video, that I was holding the microphone the whole time like this. So I don't really love the fact that it's kind of low down. As long as the sound's good, that's the main thing. But yeah, I bought a stand for like 20 quid. So yeah. Yeah, the Chris Gray I worked with was Scottish, so it'd have to be a Scot. There we go. Joshua Heath says, Ryan's just not that good enough. He gave up against Tank and Rolly will beat him again. Well, I don't think he's going to fight Rolly, but we'll talk about that. We've got some good topics to talk about today, actually, guys. How many have we got in the chat right now? 30 people. Not bad. Enough to have a good conversation. So you'll see in the thumbnail the topics we're going to go through. In fact, let me, I can pull up, I've got this thing so we can have the topics on screen. Let me just fix that up and then we can do that because that'll look cooler. But get your questions in while I'm doing that. And I just need to find the graphic I had because I don't remember it. There it is. And then I can... I don't remember which one it is. It might be this one. Yeah, it's this one. Okay, cool. Let me just fix that up. So we want topics. The first thing we'll talk about is Itauma and Whyte. And then we'll do, how did I do it in the thumbnail? Need to remind myself. Oh, good morning, Mark. I'm actually in the UK, mate. So I am, I'm on the UK time zone right now. Itauma and Whyte. Oh yeah, Garcia. Golden Boy. And then we got, Dave Allen. Allen versus Makhmudov. And then we've got, we won't do, can I change it so there's only, maybe do one more at the end. Anything. I'll just put random. And then we got Pacquiao. Sweet. And then I should be able to do it so the active topic, number 1. And boom. Right, let's put it on the other side of the screen. How cool is that? Hell yeah. Right, so we're going to start with Itauma and Whyte. As you can see, Itauma and Whyte is highlighted. So you know that's the active topic. So that's how we're going to do this. And I think this is going to be quite cool. So, we'll start with Itauma and Whyte, as I was saying. So get your thoughts in. Obviously, most of you, I think, will have seen the Dillian Whyte video that I did in the week, basically doing a full CV review. And the reason I decided to do that was because it is an interesting thing to go and look at a boxer's full career. I feel like it's that classic saying, absence makes the heart grow fonder. And I almost feel like certain people in certain parts of the media have forgotten where Dillian Whyte is in his career, because you always want another big name in the mix. You always want guys to be around. But the fact with Dillian Whyte is that he is not what he used to be. And it's really easy to forget that when they've not been active and fighting regularly. So I thought it was really interesting to go back and do that career review. And also just to actually understand, like, what was he even at his best? Like, how good was he actually? He's had a fairly solid career, but he wasn't really, in my opinion, in any danger of winning a world title. I do think he would have beaten Charles Martin when AJ beat Charles Martin, but maybe not. You know, Charles Martin has looked okay in moments, and I still think Dillian Whyte beat Parker, but there was people rightly commenting that that was quite a controversial win with the tactics that Whyte used. But I was just going through his record purely on the basis of he did get the W, and that's impressive. So yeah, I've definitely been trying to think about Dillian Whyte's career. Even if the best Dillian Whyte were to get in the ring, what would that win mean for Itauma? What would that loss mean for Itauma? My conclusion was sort of that I think if Itauma loses to any version of Whyte, he's basically not as good as I thought he was. Because I think he's meant to be a prodigious talent. And Dillian Whyte, even at his best, was not quite a world champion level fighter. So, you know, it is what it is. So yeah, we'll go on this topic from now. I'm seeing some other chat questions and stuff in it, but we'll start with this and then we'll move on to some other stuff. Joshua Heath says Whyte looked so terrible against Tete. He looked really bad against Tete. Tete's not a good fighter. It's just a madness, mate. That performance was so poor, and if you go back and watch it again, it's weird how competitive it was. You're watching it and you're sort of thinking, how is this happening? But what I would say is, to be fair to Dillian Whyte, I think he wasn't as fit as he could have been, and I do think that a fitter Dillian Whyte will perform better without question. But having said that, you know, he was fitter in some of his other fights. The Hamer fight, which Hamer's terrible now, and Whyte didn't really get to show what he could do. But I do believe that that a fitter Whyte will perform better, which is obvious to say. And I think it may have been a fitness issue, but meant he was so bad against Tete. At least I hope that for Dillian Whyte's sake, because he really didn't look great. So yeah. But what are people's thoughts on this Itauma versus Whyte fight? I mean, I do think we will see something in Itauma. We'll see another level, I hope. But also I hope that we kind of see some flaws. For those of you that don't know, tomorrow, I think, I need to arrange a time, but I'm going to go to Edinburgh tomorrow, and I'm going to film with Jamie from Boxing Life, and we are going to basically, I've come up with this concept for us to do. Well, on my channel, we're going to sit, and we're going to basically together watch Moses Itauma and try and find weaknesses in his game. That's what we're going to do, and sort of speculate on what Dillian Whyte might be able to do to exploit those. It should be good fun. We'll sort of sit, we'll compare notes, we'll have a back and forth, have a good tactical debate. I think it's going to be fun. And I know he wants to do something for his channel, but I don't know if he's worked out what it is yet. I'm sure we'll do something. But yeah, it should be quite cool. Let's see what we've got in the comments about this fight. I'll name this account later. Yes, I am in the UK. I've only just got back, so I'm here for a while, about a month. Joshua says Whyte was on PEDs in the Parker fight. I don't know if that's confirmed. Obviously, he has failed tests at points in his life. I don't remember if he failed a test around that time. But a lot of people won't let Dillian Whyte sort of forget the fact that he has been a PED cheat. By the way, regulars of the channel will be pleased to know that I now have a dummy battery for my camera. So basically that means you're never going to get me standing up in the middle of the stream anymore and sort of jankily switching batteries. It's just plugged into the wall now. So that is very, very good news. Carl Lowry thinks Whyte has been out too long. How long has it been since the Ebenezer Tete fight? And how much has he fought in the last few years? Let's have a look. By the way, if people want to, but I should put this in the comments, if people want to buy the pay-per-view and help support the channel, then you can do so with my link, which I'm going to pin in the comments. There we go. 76 people in the chat, which is actually not bad at all. So if you wouldn't mind banging a like on this, I'd really appreciate that, people. What was I doing? Oh yeah, Dillian Whyte. So Dillian Whyte last fought in December 24, which isn't too bad. That's an 8-month layoff. And then he did actually fight twice in 2024. The problem being, didn't fight once in 2023. And of course, those 2 performances in 2024 were dodgy as hell. I mean, the Hamer fight, Hamer retired after 3 rounds. Whyte didn't really get much work in there at all. And then the Tete fight was just odd. It was odd. I just don't understand how Tete was so competitive with him. Really not good enough. But the Hamer fight was a farce. You know, not helpful for Dillian Whyte at all. Isn't it mad to think that Anthony Joshua's lost more professional fights than Dillian Whyte has? Such a strange thing. I mean, obviously, you know, it's context. Joshua's competed at a far higher level for far longer. But still, it just sounds weird, doesn't it? Corey says, I think this is going to be an easy win for Itauma. I mean, all logic, without digging too deep into it, would suggest that. And potentially that's exactly what's going to happen. We don't know yet. I want to do a tactical analysis, but I've got to wait and see if I've got time. I'm definitely going to do the one with Jamie from Boxing Live, so that'll be a really fun piece of content. It's just whether or not I do like a full one on top of that, or if we just do a video about whether Itauma has any weaknesses. And I think the reason that I want to do that angle is because Dillian Whyte's weaknesses are well documented. I don't think that's going to really reveal much to people because he's been knocked out with those uppercuts so many times now. That is his obvious weakness. Joshua says, we haven't seen Itauma get tagged or face adversity. Whyte could bring that. Maybe. I think one thing I'll say about Dillian Whyte is that he's an okay counterpuncher and he throws really aggressively when he throws. So he misses wildly at times and it leaves him so open for counterpunches, which I feel that Itauma will be able to capitalize on. But at the same time, if Whyte can catch him, Whyte will be in it to win it, if that makes sense. You know, you can't win the lottery without buying a ticket. It's a little bit like that. Dillian Whyte will really swing for him when the moment presents itself. And he might land. And then we will find out if Itauma can take a shot. I'd like to think at the very least Whyte can stick that jab on Itauma from time to time. I think it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, a light Whyte, a fit Whyte is the most important thing for Whyte to focus on, I think. And then I guess you get in there and see what the guy's actually got. David says, at this stage, is Whyte that much better than Dempsey McKean? That's a difficult one to answer. I mean, Whyte's been at the higher level. Let's have a look at Dempsey McKean's box rec to see what he's been doing. Because I feel like I've not been super aware of him, his activity outside of the Whyte fight. The Itauma fight, sorry. So he had a KO win against Petero Quicker, which was in July loss of this year. TKO'd was TKO'd by Filip Hrgovic in the 12th round of their fight. I think he had a pretty hard fight with Hrgovic, though, from what I remember. Other than that, he's not actually been at a level where you can sort of assess the guy. So that's a difficult one to answer. Maybe is the answer. We need to see what Whyte looks like in there against Itauma, I think. The BMWM Jacob says Itauma will get to him in 3 rounds. He can throw the uppercut backwards. It's all wrong for Whyte. I don't know. I mean, let me think about that. Throwing the uppercut on the back foot isn't something I would advise. It's quite risky because of the dynamic, because of the mechanics of the shot. Throwing an uppercut moving backwards. I don't know if Itauma needs to throw an uppercut moving backwards. I don't even know if he needs to win by uppercut. I think it would be a mistake to obsess over the uppercut too much. Yes, it's a clear weakness, but I feel like it's one that will sort of, come to him. The shot will be there eventually, but he needs to set it up correctly. And he isn't as long as a Fury, so he's not going to do it that way, where Fury sort of stuck his lead arm out, touch, boom, up through the guard. Bringing Dillian Whyte's guard up is definitely an important factor in landing that shot. I think the Povetkin one was interesting. Obviously, the way he slipped inside and then fired it, that was probably more the blueprint for Itauma in terms of how he's going to apply that uppercut. Because again, even with AJ, that was very much like a longer guy walking him down, getting into the right range. Although I suppose, yeah, it's probably about right. Yeah, it's an interesting one. I need to have a think about that. But yeah, how Itauma lands the uppercut. It's not as straightforward as just hitting him with the uppercut, I don't think. Although it might be. But I think Whyte's going to be prepared for that. It just depends how his reflexes are and whatnot. Kaspar says, I think Itauma will have to come through something in this fight. And that is entirely possible. It will be very interesting to see if Dillian Whyte can crack him clean. I think that's something that people want. I heard Ade saying he wants Itauma to get chinned by Whyte to see what his whiskers are like. And I know what he means, but equally you don't get paid more money to get punched in the head. So if you're Itauma, I think sure you probably want to know if you can take a shot, but it's a bit risky. I think there's certain fighters that go through their career without getting hit super clean in the head. I even think of Usyk. People were saying to me, I said this before about Usyk, and people were like, no, like Fury cracked him. And yeah, Fury hit him, but Fury didn't hit him super clean. Like Usyk's chin's never sticking out. You know, he never got dropped. It was a lot of times it was like through the guard, or Usyk would be moving backwards as he was hit. I can't think of a time where I've seen Usyk like fully crack clean, his head shake side to side because it's been hit on the chin. So yeah, I think like a lot of defensive acumen can contribute to someone having a seemingly good chin. And I don't see any reason why Itauma ever needs to get hit properly clean if he can avoid it. Corey says, Whyte just isn't and never has been good enough in my opinion. Well, possibly, but we don't know how good Itauma is. This is the whole thing. He's beaten guys in spectacular fashion, but guys that are just so limited, they can't offensively give him any bother. You know, Itauma has his own way with them in attack, and then when it comes to defense, they're just not giving him enough. Guys who can't punch while they're moving their feet, meaning that Itauma uses his legs to defend everything. It will be interesting to see what happens if and when Itauma is in there with someone who can match his foot speed, or at the very least, when he's going backwards, move quick enough to close the gap and apply pressure, because he does move backwards in straight lines. He kind of has that guard where it's like hand there and then his lead hand low at times. And I just wonder if there's an opportunity to press him when he moves backwards. That's the area, without having done my studying with Jamie from Boxing Life, without having done that, that's my immediate instinct about like where are the potential weaknesses. Not to say it is a weakness, just to say we haven't seen anybody press him in those areas yet. Joshua's excited for Adelaide versus Hrgovic. Yeah, that'll be interesting. 202 says, I'm going to sound like a hater, but why in the heck is Itauma versus Whyte pay-per-view? It's one of those ones, mate, where I agree with you. I look at it and I go, this isn't a pay-per-view fight because it's not for a world title. But honestly, just the kind of fan I am, and because I look at this fight, I'm so excited to see what Itauma's got. It's something I will pay for, because I just... Look, but I'm not saying everybody will or everybody should. I'm not even telling people why they should. I'm just saying, for me, I just love it, and I'm just so intrigued to learn more about Moses Itauma. I just really want to see the guy, so that's why I'll be paying for it. But I completely get it. There's no world title on the line, so it's hard to justify it. But if you're as intrigued as I am, then, you know, I guess you probably feel the same as I do. Matt Marish, hello mate, says, looking forward to the fight. Moses wins in good fashion, in my opinion. Potentially, mate. Very possibly. I can see it. David says, Whyte made Tete look good. Yeah, he did. I mean, I don't know. Tete was weird on that one. His technique's awful, but Dillian Whyte, it's a weird one. I thought Tete would have been made to make him look good, because I feel like when you come forward and put pressure on Dillian Whyte, that's sort of where he thrives. He likes it when you go into a war with him. So quite strange, actually, that it was that competitive, really. No, I don't know. I don't know what that was all about. Chris says, if AJ and Dillian fought again, how fast do you see Joshua winning this time? I don't know, man. I need to see what Whyte's got left, but I always felt that there was a period of time where it had become more competitive again. After the Ruiz loss for AJ, that was when I was sort of like, oh, to be fair, like this Dillian Whyte fight might be closer than we think at this point. Who knows? I've actually got 100 people in the chat, which I'm pretty pleased with. So, guys, please bang a like on the stream if you wouldn't mind. Do subscribe. If any of you are new, I don't think you will be. You'll probably be subscribers, but yeah. Corey says, sure, but AJ has more losses. Whyte got KO'd cold by a washed 40-year-old Povetkin and pretended like he was about to get up. Yeah, he was knocked out clean in that one. Yeah, it was an old Povetkin, but Povetkin was a great fighter, so I'm not going to give him too much stick for that. And he did come back and win the rematch, so fair play. And I think, as someone pointed out, I think Povetkin was coming off having COVID, which I forgot in my video that I did. Yeah. So much context to every fight, isn't it? It's tough to know what the story is. Murderous Moped says, is Itauma Whyte seriously a pay-per-view, and if so, why? Yeah, we just spoke about that, so. Fight Sport Talk, hello mate, how are you? Whyte will be Itauma's first test, like he was for AJ. Maybe. I expect him to come through with flying colours on the surface, but the main thing is that Dillian Whyte throws punches. That's such a basic analysis and such a simple thing to say, But all the guys that Itauma's been in with so far have never had the ability to bother him, never will have the ability to bother him. Whereas I think there are moments where Whyte might be able to at least force Itauma to be a bit more defensively responsible. Like, literally go into a mode of I'm defending right now. It will be interesting. Carl Lowry says Whyte looks in good shape. Right. Can someone send me a link to where Whyte looks in good shape? Because I saw G-Man made a video about this. I've seen little shitty Zoom interviews of him where he's all pixelated and grainy, and I can't actually see what physical shape he's in. Has anybody got a photo of Dillian Whyte that I can see that is recent, that shows the shape he's in? Because I can't see it. I've Googled it. I've looked on his Instagram. I just can't see anything where I'm like, oh yeah, Whyte looks in good shape. I can see that clearly. His face looks a bit leaner in the Zoom interviews I've seen, but it's Zoom. It's like, it's not that high quality. So yeah, please do send me stuff if you have anything on that, because I can't find it myself. Joshua says, yeah, bro, but when Whyte throws those wild swings, he's dangerous offensively. Yes, I agree. One thing I will say, though, about Whyte is, from my perception, is that when he throws, he doesn't move his feet very well when he throws. So normally what happens is he stays in the pocket, he'll swing, and he kind of stumbles forward, or just stays exactly where he is, which, you know, if you think about the Balogun knockout, he was throwing coming forwards, and because he was in forward motion with his chin out in the air, Itauma was able to do a beautiful check counter. So I don't know if this will be a back foot victory for Itauma. I think this might be Itauma applying pressure. I've got a funny feeling that Whyte might look to try and set his feet and try and counter Itauma as he enters the pocket. I've got a funny feeling that's the way Whyte's going to go about it, but I think that's the only way he can go about it because of how much slower his feet are. But yeah, those wild swings will be interesting. And because Itauma, one thing I have noticed is he is quite upright, so it will be interesting. Especially if Whyte, you know, sometimes he's got those nice body shots, those swings into the body, those hooks. Because Itauma is more straight up and down and more stationary, he moves backwards, takes the head out of the way, he dips down underneath as well. I wonder if those swings to the body could be a good strategy for Whyte. Boy says Whyte is just too slow for Itauma, though I do hope Whyte goes all the way, just don't see it. It'd be great if he could give him some rounds. It'd be nice to see a stoppage win as ever, but it would be really good if he can give him some rounds, for sure. Carl Lowry says, like the live guys, it helps spread out to more people. Exactly. That is 100% true. So yeah, I'd love it if people could bang a like on the stream. Always appreciated. Quite buzzing there's 110 people in here right now. That's really not bad at all, given there is no fight on right now, and we're just talking smack on a Sunday morning. Is there anything finer, people? Bailey Grills says, if Itauma wins this, it's going to massively raise his profile. That's exactly why they've made the fight, Bailey. You know, they've made the fight because it's the perfect moment to cash in on Dillian Whyte, and to try and take some of his commercial pulling power. If Itauma can win that fight, yeah, it looks great for him. So, absolutely agree with you there. It's the reason they've really made it, to be honest. I'll name this account later. It says, are you going to do content with Ade during your time in the UK? I really wanted to, mate. I tried to make it happen, but unfortunately, the week that I can make it down to London, Ade's away. So I don't think it's going to happen, unfortunately, which is a bit disappointing because it would have been fun. But, you know, to be honest, guys, like, as far as collabs go, if something cool makes sense, I'll do it. But I don't need to do it. The channel's growing really, really well. And I feel like I'm only going to do it if I see an opportunity to do, like, a unique sort of concept, a unique piece of content, or if someone invites me on their channel, I'll go on, but I don't want to reciprocate unless I can bring them on mine and be like, right, let's do this cool thing together, which is what I'm going to be doing with Jamie from Boxing Life, and we can be in person. It just makes so much sense. I get on quite well with Jamie as well. It just, the whole, I think anyway, we don't know each other very well yet, but the conversations we've had have been really, really interesting, and it gives me that excitement to be like, okay, I think we can make a great video together. That's kind of my attitude towards collabs. But I've been mates with Ade for a long time, so yeah, I would have really enjoyed it, because I've never done a collab with him when I've been a significant boxing YouTuber. So yeah, it'll be, I say significant. I think my channel's getting pretty big. So yeah, bit disappointing. Mr. George Benson, how are you, mate? He says, why is Frank Lampard behind you? I thought you liked boxing. I didn't even know who that was, mate, to be fair. Is that Frank Lampard? I thought it was a picture of my dad. Ado says, Itauma, just too quick and too powerful. Let's not kid ourselves here. He'll be first to land the knockout blow. It's just a matter of when. Joshua says, Itauma isn't going to just run through Whyte in 2 rounds. Whyte will give him rounds to really test Itauma. Luis says, I'm not sold on Itauma at all. Not yet. And you shouldn't be, mate. You know, at the moment, a lot of it is us projecting into the future. Like, we're looking at what he's done so far and trying to imagine and speculate on how good we think he is when he's in there against better operators. And you're absolutely right. You shouldn't be sold on him yet, but you can be excited about him, absolutely. Corey says, a real test for Itauma would be Huni, in my opinion. Someone who's actually going to make him think. It would be a really interesting fight, that, the Justice Huni fight. But Huni's a really good boxer. It would be a test of Itauma's power, although I think he's got decent punching power. But, you know, Wardley's an interesting fight because no matter how badly he's getting outboxed, he can always land that one punch, and I always thought he would against Huni. I think Itauma would knock out Huni, but that's just because I heard those things I heard about his chin. So, even if he was getting outboxed. I think for Huni, you need to match him against guys who might struggle to land that shot, that one shot, or that can't punch that hard. This is an interesting comment here from Exactamundo. I would say Whyte now falls in that same bracket of limited fighter that Itauma has faced. Difference is he's perceived as a step up. He's not, and he's a big pay-per-view name. We don't actually know. That's the problem. A fully fit, fully motivated Dillian Whyte right now, we're not sure what he looks like in the ring. If Whyte gives Itauma problems, we could say that it's not just another limited fighter, that it is a genuine step up. But it is really hard to know what Dillian Whyte's got left. He looked so bad in the Tete fight, but there can be other reasons for that. You know, it doesn't always mean someone's done. Exactly. So Mark Hatch, the next comment. Maybe Whyte didn't train for Tete like Fury versus Ngannou. Entirely possible. And also just having a sharpness. He could have been sick before the fight. There's so many things. So this extra fight against Itauma will tell us how much Dillian Whyte's got left, I think. Google account says, hey, much love, brother. Hey, much love to you, Google account. Kat says, his hands are definitely low when he exits and are in line for a Dillian Whyte leaping left hook. The problem is, mate, if you go with a leaping bent arm shot, he will get countered with a straight, I believe. I don't know. I just don't think Dillian Whyte should be doing any leaping forward in this one. I think he needs to be on the back foot. He needs to set himself, and he needs to counterpunch aggressively when Itauma steps into the pocket. I think Dillian Whyte leaping forward would be a bad idea because I think there are certain fighters who might be able to test that in Itauma. I just don't think Dillian Whyte's one of them because his feet are slow. But if Whyte can... There's also the argument, though, that Whyte shouldn't be lunging unless he can get Itauma to the ropes. I think the time when you can lunge on someone is when they've got nowhere to go. And, yeah, it'll be interesting. Illuminated Skeleton says, there are doubters, but they forget it's not just pundits praising Itauma so highly, it's current and ex-pros too. Yeah, it is really interesting to see the amount of plaudits he's got from current pros. You don't normally see that with fighters. The last time I remember that sort of happening was probably when Tyson Fury talks about Anthony Joshua going to his gym and sparring him. You don't hear it too often. Fight Sport Talk says Itauma should win handily, but Whyte will give them something to deal with. Wack, McKean, and Balogun were all cans. I mean, none of them should be able to bother him. I don't know, mate. I just don't know where Dillian Whyte is at this point in his career. I've not seen him in a competitive, good fight where I was impressed for a very, very long time. And I think he's about 7 years past his prime. So, yeah. Andrew Lockwood, did you hear Fury has apparently retired again? I didn't. Who cares? Like, he retires all the time. It doesn't mean anything. You can't listen to what words... Don't listen to what words Tyson Fury says. Look at the actions that he does. That's how you can judge the guy. If actions are a language, what do Tyson Fury's actions tell you? Well, he's training a lot. He's posting a lot of stuff. We've seen him doing a little bit of work with Sugar Hill. He's showing up to a lot of boxing events recently. He's probably going to fight again. So, whatever he says. Tim Sheeran says, good day, mate, from Is that Bundaberg? Queensland. Just tuned in. Hell yeah, bro. Is Bundaberg like the ginger beer? Cool. I'm not in Australia at the minute, mate. Back in the UK, but yeah. What do I think about Whyte's guard from how do I say your name? Kurt DOTB. It's interesting actually. It's quite a curious. He has a high guard sometimes, but he also does that cross guard. I don't mind it. It's quite reactive. He kind of slips and slides with it. I think it means he takes additional punishment, but he does seem to ride out most shots. It's quite an interesting guard actually. There's not many heavyweights that use it, but I need to sit and actually analyze that guard to see where the weaknesses in it are. I've not actually done a tactical analysis of Dillian Whyte yet. I should probably do that soon. Maybe today if I get some time, I'll sit down and watch him properly and do some studying. Because when I study for my tactical analysis, it's quite a different process from just watching a fight. There's different things I have to do to kind of get the full picture of it. So yeah. Carl Larry says, I'm doing fine as I am. I appreciate it, Carl. 126 people in the chat. That's mega. Please bang a like on it, guys, if you wouldn't mind. On the stream, I mean. And if anyone wants to fire in a super chat, I always prioritize those comments. So do appreciate any of your generosity. Martin Wood Wilkinson, how are you, mate? Good afternoon, mate. Hope you're all good. Have I missed most of the Moses/Dylan chat? Well, we have been talking about it for a little while, but we can talk for a little longer about it if that's what. Look, I think what we'll do is we'll go through the other topics, but we can always come back to the ones we've talked about. So we'll probably move off this one in a sec. Let me just have a quick look through the rest of these comments, see if there's anything interesting in there. Martin says, the biggest question with this fight is which Whyte will turn up. Yeah, we've been talking. This is exactly what we've been saying, mate. Unfortunately, Dylan hasn't looked great in his last two fights. And if it's more of the same, it won't tell us much about Moses. Yeah, I agree with that. Totally agree with you. Corey Bochi says, hit the like button. Exactly. Shannon Briggs has said Itauma is chinny in sparring. Any thoughts on that? Well, I didn't know that Shannon Briggs said that. It won't have been Shannon Briggs sparring him because he's old as hell now. He might be talking about Carol Itauma, his older brother. I've not heard anybody saying that Itauma is chinny. Yeah, I've not heard that. So there's no reason right now to believe that Moses is chinny. Oh, hello, Issa. How are you? I have a feeling Whyte will do a lot better than people think. Might even wobble, knock down Itauma. He looks lean and he looks like he's taking it really serious. Again, if anyone has these images of Whyte looking lean, I'd love it if you could send them, because I haven't seen them anywhere. I can't find these supposed images. All I've seen is him on Zoom calls. He does look a bit leaner in the face, but yeah, I don't know. It could be a classic Andy Ruiz Jr. situation, catfishing everybody. So we'll see. Right, let's move on to the next topic, because we've been talking about this for a while. And if anyone wants to make any more points, we can come back to it. But we're going to go to Garcia and Golden Boy Promotions now. So I think what we'll do is I'm just going to pull up the quotes so I can read to you what's happening with Ryan Garcia. Because it's interesting to have just a quick think about it, really. And we won't stick on this one for too long, because I like to talk about fights rather than the politics around fights, but sometimes it can sort of inform us on things. Here we go. So let me just save this and I'll put it on the screen. Did that work? Huh. Why is that not working? I don't know why this isn't working, but I was trying to drop the image in it. It normally works. Let me just try one more thing. No, it's not working. I'll do a screen share. 1 second, guys. Sorry. Sorry. Oops. Right. So this is from Ryan Garcia. put that over the top of everything for a second so you can read it. So basically, Ryan Garcia says, Oscar doesn't respect me. I don't think he ever thought I was a good fighter, but frankly, I don't care. I have one more fight left with him, and that's it. If they can build another star, great. I want to move on. So that is Garcia obviously saying that he is done with Golden Boy Promotions, and it seems like he's been done with Golden Boy Promotions for a long time. This is not new information to us. But with Oscar De La Hoya coming out and saying he doesn't want to make the Garcia-Romero rematch, it's one of them where you sort of say, okay, well, if that's the case, what's going to happen with Ryan Garcia? And it's also, there's rumors of Pacquiao, we'll talk about that in a bit, but Pacquiao fighting against Rolly Romero. We've got a super chat from 202 Ultra. Thank you for that, mate. He says, 2-weight division champ Rolly derailed Garcia hype. Indeed, he did. That is exactly what happened. And Ryan Garcia had that hand surgery afterwards. It's funny how fighters always seem to have surgeries or something after big losses. But basically, the Ryan Garcia, Oscar De La Hoya situation is as chaotic as it sounds. I feel that the kind of character Ryan Garcia is, he doesn't need to be with someone like Oscar De La Hoya. He needs to be with some kind of calming influence, someone who's not as combative, someone who can positively influence his career, because I still think there's a very talented fighter with Ryan Garcia, but is he improving? I don't think he's improved at all for years. I think he's as good as he was when he beat Luke Campbell. Maybe even worse. I thought the Ryan Garcia that beat Luke Campbell was a bit of a beast. Having said that, you could argue he was more of a weight bully back then, just, better at that lighter weight because he was strong. I think it's really disappointing to see. I'll just finish this point and then I'll get to the super chat you just sent me, Christian. I really appreciate that, mate. But yeah, Garcia leaving Golden Boy, I think it'd be a good move for his career. I think he needs to get out of there. And in terms of who fights next, they're sort of saying, we could do Teofimo Lopez, we could do this. There's no way he should fight Teofimo Lopez next. He will lose that fight. He needs to do a proper rebuild. He needs to go away. He needs to learn a new style. I don't think that the matchup with Derek James has worked. And I think he needs to go and see a coach, maybe Robert Garcia, someone like that, who can actually work with him and turn him into a proper beast with a proper style. At the minute, I just don't know what Ryan Garcia is, and he's too much of a one-trick pony. Let me just get to this super chat. And as I say, I'm happy to jump around topics, but we'll sort of focus most of the chat on Garcia. Christian says, people are talking about Whyte being motivated this time, but when he fought Fury for the WBC belt, he looked really poor. I think Itauma early KO. I think that's a good point, and that was a while ago now, he didn't look good against Fury, but also I feel that I think Fury was all wrong for him, to be honest. He's just got much better feet than Dillian Whyte. I think Dillian Whyte's feet have always been his major limiting factor. So you're absolutely right. He didn't look good against Fury, and it's been a long time since then. I don't think it's going to be a question of fitness. I even pointed that out. Everyone was saying, he was heavy for Tete. I think his best performance against Parker years ago, he was heavier than he was for a lot of his good performances. I think he was, to remind myself of what the weights were, but for Tete, he was 261 and 3/4. When he fought against Joseph Parker, it was 258. So that's only a 3-pound difference. And, when he fought Derek Chisora the second time, he was 12 pounds lighter than he was for the Parker fight. He's an interesting fighter, Whyte. His weight fluctuates a lot. I think the worst weight he ever was 271 when he fought against Whack. So he was about 10 pounds too heavy there. But yeah, I think anywhere from 250 to 260 is probably where Dillian Whyte should be weighing. But for Itauma, he's going to want to be a bit quicker. So yeah, under 250 would be ideal. Where are we going? Back to back to the stream. So yeah, Joshua Heath says Ryan was Tank's easiest fight. He was an easy fight for him because, but I think a lot of that is to do with the fact that Ryan Garcia is offensively a bit reckless and he tries to make the fight. So yeah, and he was so predictable in what he was going to try and do with that left hook. It was such an easy fight for a counter puncher like Tank Davis. Plus he'd weight drained him as well. So yeah, that was a tough one. Chris Gray says, Ryan needs to be with Matchroom and Eddie Hearn, in my opinion. He been in bad relationship with Oscar Fuana. Yeah, but is Matchroom the best place for him? I'm not sure. You have to look at where the fighters in your division are that you want to be in. Eddie doesn't have many 147 fighters. he needs to sit down and think about it very carefully. I'm not exactly sure where he should go, but it's an interesting question. David says he's wanted to leave Golden Boy for years. I remember after the Tank fight, he was heavily linked with PBC. Tracks FM, the original 103.3 Pirates. Garcia looked terrible at the Times Square fight. However, Rolly was active and had good quality moments beforehand. Look, man, I don't really rate Rolly that highly, but he knew what to do to beat Ryan Garcia, and he counterpunched well in that fight. Controlled it with his jab. Didn't do anything special, just did enough to beat Ryan Garcia. Garcia didn't look himself. He didn't look right, but equally, I think he's got a lot of work to do. I think he needs to get a new trainer. I think he needs a complete change up. It's an interesting one. I know this is a weird shout, but this is just a UK perspective. I'd love to see him go and train with someone like Shane McGuigan. I think that'd be so interesting. Put him in there with someone who's really pragmatic like Shane McGuigan and see what you can do. I also like Robert Garcia, though, and I think he could do some good things with Ryan Garcia. So yeah, let's see. Let's see what he ends up doing. Mark says, Garcia's biggest problem is in his head. I agree. He has so much talent, but he hasn't worked to improve for years. Yeah, I think he's stagnated massively. He's already made so much money, and the kid just loves to party and go mad. It's clear. He likes that lifestyle. He's definitely a generation below me in terms of his attitude towards life. It's something I struggle to relate to, but I do understand it. And I really hope that, he gets serious, because it'd be a waste otherwise. We were so excited about this sort of Four Kings thing with, with Shakur, with Tank, with Garcia and Haney, but a very disappointing crop of fighters in the end. Tank's apparently maybe going to retire. Had the controversial draw of Lamont Roach, which I thought Roach won, especially if you count that knockdown, but I thought he won anyway. And in terms of, I think Shakur's the only one who might actually fulfill his potential in terms of what we thought he was. Haney, I am not sure about at all. And I think that this fight against, the whole Haney thing's super interesting. I did the SNAC video on that. But against Norman, the Haney against Norman fight will be very, very interesting. But I've not studied Norman enough to know if it's a great pick for Haney or if he actually can give him problems. I'm not sure. Mark says, Garcia got rich too quickly, no more hunger. Corey says, I think Ryan needs to be with someone who believes in him, maybe like a Matchroom. Yeah, I just think Matchroom, it could be good for him. Him and Eddie together could be good, but I just worry about accessibility to the right fighters and the right fights. But although everyone's together now, to be fair, so I don't have to think like that as much anymore. Stephen Dyer says, Henry, just a random question. To be regarded as an all-time great fighter, do you have to beat other all-time greats? No, I don't think so. I think you just have to beat the best that are available, do it consistently, do it in impressive fashion. And then sort of that kind of raises the question of whether or not you can compete with other all-time greats. So, no, I don't think so. Because, even all-time greats lost fights. So if they were in an era with another all-time great, they may lose but still be considered an all-time great. Like Muhammad Ali, he lost fights, So no, I don't think so. But it does give you even better perspective on just how good somebody is. VC says, Henry, big man. Maybe a bit abstract, but reckon there's any scope in putting a video out on how boxing in media has changed over the decades? I feel sensationalism, commentator hype formats. Maybe. I haven't really thought about doing a video like that. If you remember, I did do a video about Wade when he signed with The Ring. That didn't do so many views, actually, so maybe a lot of you didn't see that. But I did do a video about the Wade concept signing with The Ring and how I've been worried about impartiality in journalism moving forward in boxing. I mean, anytime a powerful entity wants to have a significant impact in any sphere, they try and control the press. And when you look at history, the print press was the first thing that was bought by big organizations that wanted to control media narratives. I don't think it's any different with what's happening in boxing at the minute, with The Ring being purchased, and with the creation of outlets like what's Charlie Parsons' thing called, the Stomping Ground, stuff like that. IFL TV, great content, entertaining content, but these guys rely on access, and so they never, ever are able to ask or dig for the stuff that a lot of fans really want to know the answers to. And sometimes they can, but a lot of the times they can't. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with these guys doing what they do. I'm just saying that I've always had concerns over the sport and the everyday fan being able to get access to information and knowledge, and having the right understanding of what's going on in front of them. So yeah, it's an interesting one, and I mean, I'd even go as far as to say stuff like boxing scene having rescinded access because they're not, they're still being completely impartial. I do worry about lack of impartiality in boxing, and I do worry about the fact that the views that get rewarded are the more sensationalist ones, the ones that are more about banter and funny stuff and whatever. I feel like that stuff's got its place, but it's the lack of the other stuff. It's not to belittle what they're doing. It's just to say I don't think there's enough of the other stuff as well. So yeah, I'm not too sure, to be honest. All I know is that I'll try and be as objective and as impartial as I can be. But to be honest with you, those companies don't worry about me and will never worry about me because I focus on performance more than anything else. I'm not interested in a lot of other stuff. But if something really catches my attention, I'll of course talk about it. But I generally focus on fight breakdowns, tactics, technical stuff. So outside of that, I don't really pay the most amount of attention. But I did do the SNAC video, so that's not strictly true. If I think something is interesting enough, I am moving this channel more and more in the direction of like an investigative journalism, sort of boxing CoffeeZilla style channel. That is the way I want this to go. I really enjoy it. So yeah. 202 Ultra says, I only see Garcia getting worse over time. He's his own worst enemy, doesn't listen to any trainers, coaches, drug abuse issues, and an over-reliance on natural ability versus technique. I do think that he needs to be able to follow a game plan better. The lack of feinting, the lack of jab, it's a massive issue, and I totally agree with you, mate. Being at the top level now, competing up there, means he needs to have more than he's had in the past, and he's not added those things, so yeah. Michael Lynch says, good morning, Henry. Good morning, Michael. How are you, mate? I hope you're recovering well from your surgery. I went back and watched some Alexander Usyk fights versus Hook and Gassiev. Oh my God, just so impressive then. So clever at evading, feinting, and scoring. He's turned it into an art. He's a beast, mate. And I need to go and rewatch those fights. People get upset with me because I always forget to mention Gassiev as Usyk's hardest fight. It's normally because I'm talking about heavyweight, so I'm thinking specifically about his career at heavyweight. But you're absolutely right. Gassiev did give him the hardest fight of his career, but I do need to go back and study it again to remind myself how it looked exactly. But yeah, basically Ryan Garcia, the final thing I'll say on it is I like Ryan Garcia as a character in boxing. I really want to see him do well. But at the minute, we're in a place where I just don't know what the way forward is for him. And yeah, he's a fighter. He's a character that boxing needs, but equally, he's got to get himself right. I do worry about where he's going to go, what he's going to do, and not fulfilling his potential. So that's my hope for the lad. But let's move on to Allen versus Makhmudov, because obviously you guys know, being a Dave Allen fan as I am, that is of great interest to me. I think it's really, really interesting. Let's actually just do a few comments first, then I'll go on. VC says, thanks, mate. Keep on rolling. Reese Cooper, how are you, mate? Says, yes, Henry. How are you, bro? Just woke up. I'm good, mate. How are you? I'm a bit tired, but I'm up at 5 or 6 a.m. every day because I have a client in Australia I'm working with on their video content, so I have to get up early to be online for them for a few hours. Some very much like bed by 9 p.m. at the minute. Very boring stuff. VP75 says, I love the investigation stuff. Love how you analyze Dubois. Thank you very much, mate. Boy says the SNAC video was really interesting. The main criticism I got on that video was that I didn't do a Reynoso video, but I talked about Reynoso at the end of it, and I was basically saying how we should really be focusing on Reynoso because they're actually failing tests, whereas SNAC needs to be looked at closely because of the history of it. But in reality, they're not failing any tests. I think people just didn't watch it all the way to the end, but also it's probably the way that it was branded. It was like, this is a SNAC video, but that's because SNAC's more interesting. SNAC's got the one with the mystery. SNAC's got the whole Victor Conti thing. There's so much cool, interesting dynamics to talk about. And I couldn't believe people were leveling racism accusations at me and everything, but that's just the insanity of the internet. I was just like, whatever. That's fine. It's fine if people want to think that, but it's just utterly bizarre to me. I will happily do a video about Reynoso. I wanted to do it at the time, but I just didn't have enough bandwidth in that moment. And perhaps if it comes up again, I will do a Reynoso video. But yeah, it's not like it's SNAC versus Reynoso, though. It's more just a component of the whole picture. But yeah. Luca Basso says Bredis was the hardest fight. Yep, agreed. But we need, sorry, I was meant to be talking about Dave Allen. Let me just see if there's any other comments there I should reply to. Cool. Chris Gray says Dave Allen wins by however he wants. I don't agree with that. I think that I think that Dave Allen has to approach this in a very smart way. Let's see this. Because I want to talk about this. 202 Ultra says, Allen had a video on his YouTube going over the process for picking Makhmudov. It seems like he was offered the same fighters as AJ, like Tony Yoka. So, I haven't studied this yet. I'm definitely going to be doing a video where I try and figure out why Dave Allen picked Makhmudov. I'm probably going to call it that, why Dave Allen picked Makhmudov, as a tactical analysis of the guy. But what I will say is, from what I've watched of Makhmudov, he's quite raw, he's quite basic. He isn't a bad boxer, definitely a big puncher. But remembering the why is his name gone from my mind? The Ajit Kabayel fight. It was easy to hit Makhmudov to the body in that fight. His body was there to, for all day. And Makhmudov defensively isn't that good. So he's a beast, and he might beat Dave Allen just because if Dave isn't fit enough and motivated enough, I think he's much better offensively than Johnny Fisher is. But I also expect Dave to be able to hurt Makhmudov if he's fit and ready and can apply pressure and come forward and slip Makhmudov shots. So I really rate the pick from Dave. I think it's an interesting one. I really need to study it more to fully understand why Dave picked Makhmudov. But Dave's clever. Dave is a very, very good opponent picker. Very, very good matchmaker. You look at the way he's moving some of the guys he's training. Look, Dave knows the game, man. The only reason Dave, in my opinion, would have made a mistake would just be if he doesn't get himself fit enough, because that's always been the problem. But Dave's a smart boxing guy. So, yeah, I hope Dave beats him. It'd be bloody exciting. I commented on Dave's video. It was one of the top comments, I think. I'm ready to go mental again. And I will. You guys know I'll go crazy if Dave beats Makhmudov. It'd be fantastic. It's such an enjoyable fight. But I need to go and study Makhmudov properly. Yeah, interesting fighter, Makhmudov. Who did he lose to recently? I've just forgotten who he lost to. Let me just check. Arslanbek Makhmudov. 22 fights, 20 wins, 19 KOs, 2 losses, both by knockout. So he lost to Guido Vianello, who got TKO'd. Interesting. That's who it was. I'm going to watch that TKO quickly now, actually. I won't... I just want to see. I won't share it on screen. Oh, actually, you know what? I can probably share the knockout on screen. It depends who the fight was with. Was it with DAZN? If it was, then I can probably show the knockout on screen. Oh no, it's a top rank fight. I won't do that then. I'm just gonna have a quick look at this knockout. Oh, it was his eye he did in. Okay, interesting. You can see that from the thumbnail. Skip that. All right, I'm just having a look at this. Yeah, so straight away, Makhmudov, the way he punches, it's not even from his chin. It's sort of from an out position here. Like, he throws from here. The second you get up close, he looks really scrappy. And he's very rigid. Yeah, I just saw Vianello steps in there with an uppercut. The uppercut was on all day. I think that already what I'm seeing from Makhmudov here is his guard isn't very effective. And yeah, when he throws, he dips his chin down, so he's there for the uppercut all day. He sways side to side quite nicely, Makhmudov. And he's landed a nice short right hand on the inside there. Again, Vianello steps in and throws the 1-2. Makhmudov's guard just sort of falls away. He's not very good at catching shots. I mean, I think he's... I mean, it's a bit rogue to say, but I don't know if he's dissimilar from Johnny Fisher, to be honest. I think maybe that's why Dave's picked him. Oh, and his eyes shut up really bad there. I can see him around 6 or 10, and Makhmudov's eye is absolutely horrific. Oh, he takes another huge right hand there. And of course, I'm just watching the highlights, so maybe he's better at defending in other moments. But yeah, I don't think he has much head movement. He looks very, very upright. He's quite good at going side to side like this, but the up and down isn't really there. And Vianello's just absolutely battering him. And he is a scary looking guy, but yeah, do you know what he does? So when he comes forward, he dips like this. So he goes down, so his chin's always exposed. Very interesting. He tries to catch and throw as well. But I think the big thing will just be if he can outwork Dave, if he can have a high enough punch output. He's very hittable, though. Yeah, got stopped on the swollen eye in the end. The eye was horrific, but he is very, very hittable. Interesting. Very interesting indeed. Guys, please bang a like on the stream if you haven't done so already. What time is it now? We've been going for nearly an hour, so I'll do another half an hour, maybe another hour. You spend some time with the family. Martin Wood Wilkinson says, Dave Allen can make this a very easy fight if he fights smart. 4Q says, Allen is an excellent body puncher and Gollum don't like it to the body and Dave don't get KO'd. Dave has got a great chin. My only concern with Dave is him getting outworked, really. But I need to study it properly, like I say, but just quickly watching the Vianello highlights there. Very, very hittable guy. Corey Boach says, Yoka would have been an easier fighter. I don't think it would have been. I think for Dave Allen's style, we already know, I mean, Yoka bashed him up, and we think Yoka was on Pez, then he failed a test not long after that. But for Dave Allen's style, I think that Yoka's actually more of a problem because Dave is a bit crude at range, whereas Yoka's very, very good at boxing on the back foot. Dave likes to get on the inside. Yoka does have decent feet, if nothing else. Kind of lacks power. He can outbox you. Issa says, people are saying Makhmudov is the favourite. I would honestly make Allen favourite. He's on the better run of form, and he seems to finally have some motivation. Potentially, I think it's a close fight. I need to study it properly. I don't want to commit too much to an opinion until I've studied it properly. Dave P says, I do worry for Dave a bit. Makhmudov ruined Carlos Takam pretty bad. So I need to go back and watch that one because that will be a really good example fight for me. When did he fight Carlos Takam? He fought Takam in 2022, so 3 years ago. It was a UD over 10 rounds. Takam at that point, the thing I would say is that's a much older Takam, right? I mean, Takam had slowed right down. I mean, how old's Takam now? 44. So 3 years ago, he was 41 years old. Takam hasn't been a good fighter for a long time. The fact he beat Yoka by split decision in 23 is pretty damning on Yoka. But yeah, I just feel that, Takam's barely fought. I mean, he had 2020, he had 2 fights, and since then he's had 4 fights. 1 in 21, 1 in 22, 2 in 23, and he's not fought since 2023. So I don't know if Takam had anything left really when he fought Makhmudov at that point. But yeah, that needs some studying. To be fair, Mark says nothing against Dave Allen. It's how far have Matchroom fallen when Allen versus Makhmudov is a main event now. I don't think it's anything to do with how far Matchroom's fallen, mate. I think it's everything to do with how big of a name Dave Allen is. Dave Allen is, look, like it or not, people love Dave Allen. They love him. And the Johnny Fisher win, Johnny Fisher was selling a lot of tickets. So Dave's put himself back in the mix in terms of being a ticket seller. All he ever needed was a couple of good wins because he's that popular. He's a super popular guy. Mark Hatch says, Dave Allen can't take hits like he did in Fisher 1. Makhmudov is dangerous. But to be honest with you, Dave only took a couple of really clean punches from Fisher. Other than that, he's very clever at slipping and sliding, rolling with the punches, blocking things. I think Makhmudov, Fisher's got good power. Do not get it twisted. Johnny Fisher can punch very, very hard. It's just that Dave Allen wasn't really there to be hit super clean. And I think Makhmudov's got similar punching speed to Johnny Fisher. Makhmudov's hittable, though. I can tell you that for free. I mean, God, go and watch the Vianello highlights. He gets clipped constantly by Vianello. One thing I would say is I think Vianello throws straighter shots than Dave does, but it doesn't mean they won't land. Although, I loved it in the Fisher 2 fight. The one time Dave Allen threw a straight 1-2 as Jamie Moore had been encouraging him to do, he landed it because it was so unexpected. David says, Eddie Hearn said Allen picked him because he was scary looking, and Dave told Eddie he's scared of him, so he'd better train. Yeah, he trained better. Yeah, I heard that Eddie said that too, but I believe that Dave will have picked him for other reasons. I think Dave's that smart. Stephen Dyer says, have you ever thought about doing tactical breakdowns of past legacy fights, but not the ones which have become tropes? Ali Frazier, etc., but ones like McGuigan, Cruz, etc. I hadn't even thought about doing that. I think they're probably too niche, mate. That might be a Patreon one if I was ever going to do that. But equally, I'm at the phase in the channel like right now where I want everything on YouTube because I'm growing fast. I don't really want to be making videos that aren't for the platform. But if I was going to do stuff like that, because I don't know how well it would perform, yeah, it would be probably a Patreon one. Martin Wood Wilkinson says, Makhmudov looked ploddy in his last fight and was breakable versus Vianello. He looks scary, but is also beatable. Even Johnny Fisher could have him. I don't know about that. They'd be similar, actually, I think, him and Fisher. Guys, please do, if you do want me to not miss your comment, do bang a super chat, sorry, because there's quite a lot here and I will miss some of them, so I'll look through the most interesting ones. Please bang a like on the stream, guys, if you are new in here. And also, let me know, people, what do you think about this Sunday morning stream? It's quite nice, isn't it? It's definitely something that, even when I'm in, well, I mean, to be honest, normally we'd be doing a, you know, sort of fight reaction around this time. So yeah, I probably won't make this a consistent thing, but yeah. Sorry. Right. Dan Jackaman, how are you, mate? Says Makhmudov is very flawed, but has beaten some guys at a decent level like Takam. Yeah, again, old Takam. There seems to be this assumption that Allen is well above British level for some reason, but we've not seen him prove it. I think it's a classic case of styles make fights. I think Dave will have picked him because he likes the style for him. But like most guys at heavyweight, they can punch like hell. VP75 says, I'll be looking forward to your Makhmudov analysis. I definitely will do it. I normally do it when there's a press conference or closer to the fight. Where did that thing go? I was just... there we go. Yeah. Ad says, love the channel. I see Makhmudov as a more polished version of Johnny Fisher, which is Dave's bread and butter. My question is, have you ever thought about doing a stream with your top off? Thought about it, decided it wouldn't be a great idea. Just think people don't need that, mate. You know, people aren't here for that. You know? But it would be a sight to behold without question. Miles Carey, yes, mate. Big ups from Canada. Love it. Turned 65 this weekend. Congratulations, mate. Dave Allen, crazy like a fox, knows that he needs a monster to motivate. Hope he didn't bite off more than he can chew. I do think motivation is a factor, but I also think that stylistically Makhmudov will be nice for him. But I need to study it more to confirm that, but look, you don't need to say stylistically. You can just say Makhmudov looks like he can be hit very cleanly. Luca Basso says, based on appearance alone, is Makhmudov the most intimidating boxer of all time? No. He's definitely not the most intimidating boxer of all time. That would be Nikolai Valuev. However, does he look very intimidating? Yes, absolutely. Chris says, can't lie, Dave Allen beautiful combo versus Bosch Jr. was one of my favorite finishes I've seen in boxing for a while. That was epic, mate. That was very, very good finish. I enjoyed that thoroughly. Should we watch it again? We should watch it again. Oh, hang on a second. Let me get the super chat. B&H, hello, mate. Thank you very much for the super chat. He says, Allen shouting break in the Fisher fight. Genius. Yeah, that was very, very good. Oh, I've skipped another one. Sorry. VC, mate, thank you so much for the donation. Do you not have a comment you'd like me to answer? That's very, very nice of you. Thank you, bro. Let's watch that Dave Allen knockout again. Together. Because we can. Because of the miracle of internet and software and all kinds of stuff. Oh, interesting. Joey Knight's released a new video. Dubois quit in round 1, but this footage changes everything. Does it, though? Joey, does it? I think Joey's a very good boxing YouTuber. It's a shame he doesn't post more. Alright, this is what I want. The highlights. I just want to see the knockout at the end. So we can all enjoy it together in all its glory. So we can watch it. Let me just put it over the top like this. So yeah, what I love about this whole sequence with Dave Allen, I mean, it's just, we'll watch it and then we'll go back and watch it in some more detail. So, you know, Johnny Fisher in the corner, he digs him to the body. They're grappling a little bit. Little shovel hooks there. Dave Allen winging it in, goes with the left hook to the body. That's a nice shot. It's this moment coming up here, this one here. Look, this is the moment where Jamie Moore talked about the straights, you know, throwing the shots a bit straighter. Actually, do you know what? We've never done this before. I can do this for you live right now. So this is my bread and butter, guys, as you know, the tactical analysis stuff. This is actually quite cool. So let me know if you enjoy this, by the way. So they're lined up here. I never actually analyzed this. I was so gassed by it. But Johnny Fisher, if we watch it here, Johnny Fisher always has this, I mean, his chin's here. He always has his hands low. Dave Allen has a similar thing going on, but you know Dave's actually going to get them back in the right position. So as Dave comes forward here, Johnny Fisher steps back. He's in a static position. Lead hand out like this. Doesn't mean much at all. Dave steps in. And it's that sort of, it's almost Usyk-like, you know, where you change the level and then you spear the jab up through the middle. So Dave does that. He comes down, spears it up, catches him. Because Johnny's using that sort of measuring hand to try and offer some defense, Dave just throws it straight, boom, and he catches him so clean there. And it was that, you know, Dave, he still throws it looping. It's still going around the outside, but it is straighter than it was. You know, he normally wings it much wider than that. So we'll just go with that again. Boom, boom. Just take that back a bit. Boom, boom. Lovely. And that's like the first moment where he really catches him clean. And I remember Jamie saying in the post-fight, you know, he was just calling for him to just please throw it a bit straighter. And you'll get to him because he's expecting the wider trajectory. But then you can see here the naivety from Fisher just coming forward, trying to clinch. He needs to take a step back there, but look at that. Dave, he positions it like that's the space to go to there. Going up top, he's bending forward. It's kind of hard to land it there. Boom. And look, like he's got that all wrong defensively as well. He's actually moved it out the way for Dave to the body. Boom up the middle. Such a nice combination, isn't it? When you go round like that. Round there, brings the guard together. And then he's actually pulled his guard away. So the chin is completely exposed. And boom up the middle. It's absolutely outrageous. Then the hook to the head. This is Dave in full flow, just applying pressure, getting stuck in. And actually, to be fair to Fisher, he does land a good right hand there. But you see how Dave turns his head? Look, there. He's turned his head already before the shot actually lands. So his chin's already moving. So it goes sort of through... it goes through Dave Allen's chin rather than sort of completely cleaning it out. So yeah, takes it pretty well, rolls with it, and then he just goes back to work. Body the double left hook, and then he knocks him down with clubbing shots to the head. And then this is the finish coming up here. Absolutely exquisite finish from Dave Allen here. This is one of my favorite finishes I've probably ever seen, to be honest. The boom, 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 boom. Unbelievable. The towel goes flying in, but it's too late. Let's put that in slow motion. So he steps over to him. Fisher's on the ropes. So the first one kind of misses a little bit. But he goes double, hits him with the second one. Slings in that right hand to the body. Left hook to the body. Comes up top. Boom. I mean, that's that shot there, isn't it? It's a horrible shot. Boom. And then as he's going down, Dave slips in another uppercut there on the chin, which on the other angle you can see. We'll see if these highlights show the other angle or not. No, they don't. But, yeah, unbelievable stuff. Unbelievable stuff. Back to the comments. Hope that was interesting for you to watch, people. That's how I do it normally. I sort of go through, draw my lines. You know, nothing lucky about that knockout, though, on Johnny Fisher. And Dave's so defensively astute in the way he applied the pressure. You can see a similar thing happening with Makhmudov. But it's a lot of it with Dave is the double hook, you know, the boom, and then, you know, coming up the middle and then the boom around the other side. It's just so clever. Stephen Dyer, when he leans forward, it's almost telegraphing, please uppercut me. Yeah, I mean, if you go and watch Makhmudov, guys, I recommend go and watch Makhmudov. In fact, if you want, go and load the Makhmudov Vianello highlights and mute them and just listen to me talking while you're watching them. But honestly, when you watch that fight, you know, Makhmudov, he does kind of slip side to side, but he doesn't really go down, up and down very much, and he leans forward so much. So slow, so cumbersome. I think Dave's hand speed, actually, funnily enough, will be too much for Makhmudov's movement. Adam Jones caught him so well, lapse in concentration, static against the ropes. Dave's footwork is so underrated because he plods, but he has deceptive foot and hand speed at heavyweight. I don't know how fast his feet are, mate, but he's very good at edging his way forward. He actually really reminds me of Andy Ruiz Jr. in the way he does that, where he edges his way in forward. And because his head movement is quite good, and because he's quite good at blocking and rolling and slipping punches, he continues to get his feet into the pocket as he's doing that. Very similar to the way Andy Ruiz just edged Anthony Joshua down in their first fight. Which is why there's always a limitation to it, because the feet are slower, right? That's why AJ and Ruiz too didn't have to really even do anything smart with the boxing. He just had to be fit and stay on the back foot and show quicker feet than Ruiz Jr. was able to, because he couldn't close the gap. And it's a similar thing for Dave Allen. That's why, you know, he's always going to have issues against a certain style of fighter with more athletic, quicker feet. Nozolet says, why didn't they make Joshua versus Allen? Would have been a huge payday for Dave. Honestly, if Dave beats Makhmudov, they might be able to make that fight. But he does need a win, like a sort of fringe world level win, in my opinion, first. Stephen Dyer says, Fisher is a classic big guy, so becomes a fighter rather than a natural fighter that grows to be big. Maybe. I think he's decent, Fisher. Like, he's okay for the amount of time he's been boxing. But he just needs to go and work. I honestly, if I was him, I'd go and work with Jamie Moore as well. I think being in that gym with Dave, with Pat Brown, with all those guys, I think it would be good for him. I just think he needs to do something different, something fresh, because I think he has stagnated in his development. And he might never be able to get any better, but you've at least got to change trainers to find out if that's actually the case. Firebrand says, technique is everything. Well, technique isn't everything, but it's very important. Mindset is very, very important. Physical conditioning is very, very important. Athleticism is very, very important. Athleticism can actually outdo technique in a lot of instances. There's guys you'll see who technically aren't that great, who'll beat very, very good boxers because they're just better athletes. You know, that's why PEDs are a massive issue in boxing. Edan Jones says, Dave is in much better shape than he would have everyone believe. I think he thrives mentally being the underdog or being written off by the casual fan. I do also think he fluctuates in his messaging. Sometimes he'll say he's really fit. Sometimes he'll say he's a fat mess. It's just whatever he feels at the time as well. If he wants to play a game or if he wants to be really honest, he definitely fluctuates in his feeling. Chris Gray says, beautiful stuff and a great little breakdown. Thank you, bro. Martin says, I agree, but I don't think the public would get behind AJ versus Allen, unfortunately. Yeah, he needs a couple more wins. Boy says, great stuff, Henry. Thank you, mate. Exactamundo says, the other angle is nasty. Allen really just splattered poor Johnny Bosch. I mean, yeah, the other angle is crazy. Shall I try and get the other angle quickly? Let me see if I can find it. Because it is, you're right, it is really, really good. It'll be on DAZN. If you just give me a sec, I can find it. Yeah, it'll be this, because there's extended highlights here on DAZN, so this one will have the slow-mo of the uppercut angle. Because, you know, live, I didn't realize he landed that final uppercut when Fisher was already on the way down. I don't know if they have it on this broadcast either, actually. I don't know where to find it. I've definitely seen it out there, but yeah, even on the 10-minute highlight video, it doesn't seem to have the slow-mo angle. Where else can I get these highlights? It's really weird. I don't know where to get it. Maybe it's on this random one here. I think this might be it here. Oh, here we go. Yeah, this is it here. This is the one. Right. This is the one here, guys. Check this out. Boom. Boom. Comes upstairs with the left hook. Boom. This is it. He's out there. But look, just for good measure. Boom. Uppercut. I think there might even be another angle that's even better. Yeah, this one here. This is the one. Left hook. Right hook to the body. Oh, it's just brutal, isn't it? Out. And then there. Luckily, it's chest and chin, but yeah. Unbelievable stuff. Absolutely filthy knockout. 145 people in the chat, actually, guys. If you wouldn't mind banging a like on the stream, will be much appreciated. Firebrand says, it's not speed, it's timing. Speed kills, but timing beats speed every time. Yeah, I mean, ideally you want both, right? You want to time people with amazing speed. But fighters like Amir Khan, who just blitzed, had a place for that against guys who couldn't really counterpunch. But anytime you fight a good counterpuncher, it's going to be a massive issue. Like Danny Garcia showed us, he completely wiped out Khan. Mark H says, do you not rate Mark Tibbs as a trainer then, Henry? It's not about whether I rate him or not. I think it's different trainers for different fighters. And I just sort of think with Johnny Fisher, he clearly hasn't improved at the rate he would have wanted. And he clearly has so much left to learn still. Defensively, he just doesn't have it. And I'm not saying, I don't know what his training looks like. I don't know what the trainers have done with him. But I do think you have to sort of, the only way to rule out that it's not you is to go and try training with somebody else, to be honest. It's just trying something fresh and something different. A different training method might speak to you more. A different style might speak to you more. I just think he's got to find a way to be defensively better. And he would risk not improving if he stayed with the same training team, in my opinion. Lampot says, hello, Henry. Hello, Lampot. Ryan says, what about Allen versus Chisora? I don't think Chisora is actually a good style for Dave. And with Chisora being right at the end, he won't want to fight Dave Allen. He'll want to fight for a world title or something significant if he can. So I don't see Chisora taking it. I wouldn't mind it, but I just feel like, I don't know, I just feel like Chisora is not the right style for Dave Allen, to be honest, because they're quite similar. Steven says, funnily enough, the uppercut actually slightly woke him up as he was completely out cold from the initial hook. Maybe, I don't know, or he was hurt even worse. It's hard to say, mate. Michael says, have you ever boxed? I train every week. I don't fight. I haven't sparred for quite a long time because, honestly, I've had too much on. Sparring is quite hard. Well, it depends what gym you're in. If some gyms, it's just technical sparring. I've done some of that, and that's fine. Haven't done enough sparring, basically. But I've been around lots of fighters. I've enjoyed talking to a lot of coaches and learning. As I say, it's my main method of fitness. I do want to do more sparring. I do want to do some kind of content for the channel, but I've not been able to go and buy all the equipment because I've been skint, and it is a energy-sapping, time-consuming thing to do sparring more than once in the week. So I will do it, but right now I've got so much on, it's hard to balance everything. So yeah, my main aim right now is just to physically keep myself healthy while I'm trying to do the channel and do my job and have a relationship and all kinds of stuff. It's a lot, so yeah. Reese, when are you going to see Oasis, Henry? A week on Tuesday, mate, and I can't bloody wait. All right, let's move on to Pacquiao. And, these are not going to be things we talk about for a long time because I've been going for a little while now. How long have we been going for? Hour and 20. That's not bad for a Sunday morning. Hope the sparring won't decrease the video quality if you catch my drift. Yeah, if I get hit in the head a lot, it definitely will. I was sparring when I lived in Bali for 2 years. I sparred a bit there, and it was brutal. It was like, I wasn't even that fit, and you were doing 9 3-minute rounds with 3 different sparring partners. I used to get chucked in there with heavy weights, all different weights. I mean, most of them were like roughly the same size as me, but there was one heavyweight guy I got chucked in with, and I was just like, I'm 5'9". He was like 6'4". Probably weighed about, how much do I weigh? Probably weighed about 50 kilos more than me. And I was just like, what the am I supposed to do with this? Plus, you're not even fighting in a proper full-size ring. You're in a quarter-size square because obviously there's lots of people in the training session. All you can do is just try not to get hit as much as possible. But like, you're meant to not even be going full speed, but then if I don't go full speed, I can't do anything to a guy that size, so it makes no sense. Anyway, that's all semantics. Pacquiao. 202 Ultra says, Pacquiao seems to really want rematch with Barrios, but my boy Rolly is the easier fight for a belt. Do you think Rolly's an easier fight than Barrios? That's an interesting debate. I don't know. I think that Rolly is probably a better counterpuncher than Barrios. Yeah, Reese, there's certain lads in the gym I go where I know it's a war every time. Yeah, mate, like, it just depends where you're sparring, but most gyms, the sparring's harder than you think. And you don't want to be a bitch and ask for technical sparring if everyone's going hard. Anyway, Pacquiao seems to really want rematch with Barrios. Yeah, so I don't know if Rolly's an easier fight than Barrios is. You'd expect Barrios to be better in a rematch and Pacquiao to maybe be a bit worse, but I can understand Manny wanting to fight again now. But the question for Manny is, does he really want to win a world title again, or is he just going to take the biggest money fight available? Because there will definitely be some mental crossover things he can do. There will be stuff he can do. Imagine if you could get like Ilya Topuria from UFC or something like that to go and have a boxing match with him, or I don't know if that's possible with the way the UFC contracts work, but or some like KSI or some mad thing like that. Like, I just think his next move will be very revealing. If he needs the money, then fine. But I mean, for legacy, imagine if Pacquiao could go and get that world title. It would be absolutely incredible. Personally, like, I don't really need to see Manny fighting anymore, even though I was amazed at how well he did in that Barrios fight. You guys saw my reaction video. I was blown away. But do I need to see Pacquiao anymore in the ring? No, I don't. And he's way off what he was. But he's still competitive, weirdly, against the right opponents. I think a Rolly fight is really interesting, actually. I don't know how Rolly would get on with Pacquiao. I think both Rolly and Barrios, based on his Barrios performance, I think it's a possibly winnable fight. I just wonder if he might do some mad catchweight fight against like a Tank Davis or something like that. I don't know. I think Tank Davis is all wrong for him at this point, really, being a counterpuncher. But I'm not sure what Pacquiao should do. It's a difficult one. But I saw Wade Concept speculating that Pacquiao should fight against Rolly. I think Rolly has mentioned Pacquiao at times, saying he'd love to fight him. He's his idol and all that sort of thing. So very, very interesting. I don't know. I think that Pacquiao against one of them would be a good idea, though, probably for either of them. And then the winner fights the other and unifies. Norman is fighting against Haney, so yeah, welterweight's not the strongest division right now. It's a shame that Boot Tennis moved up for the welterweight division. It's great for 154, but they've just got to make those fights now up there. IBR Stella says, I think it's reckless by a coach to let heavyweight spar anyone below 168 pounds. Well, what do I weigh right now? I don't know what I'm in pounds. I am 165 pounds. So, yeah, it's not great. But, like, in Asia, they do it differently, mate. They don't care. It's mad. Tad Duran says, I boxed from the age of 7 until 19, ended up 6-0 in the amateurs before I broke my hand badly in a street fight. But I remember the day I bested the sparring partner who was there to teach us kids. Hell yeah, bro. Always a good moment. RBR Stella says, Ben should have chased a belt at 147. Yeah, Ben will be back at 147 at some point, I'm sure. it's still quiet on the Eubank Junior front, so I imagine that fight will get made at some point. But I don't need to see that rematch. The first one was perfect in terms of it being a one-time spectacle, one-time event. You know, everyone knows I hate the rehydration clause. I don't want to see it again with that rehydration clause. I don't want to see it again at all. You know, maybe Eubank should have one more at 168 pounds, get a big payday, leave the sport. I don't think he's got much left in terms of competing at the top level. Conor Ben, just go and fight your natural weight and stop complaining about it. It's, you know. Cass says, I think the form is in it. I think with the form is, I don't understand what you're saying, but you think it'd be risky for Pacquiao. So, yeah, okay. I think you deleted that comment. Yeah. Well, I think I've caught up on all the comments. And I don't have too much to say about Manny Pacquiao, really. So, I'm going to suggest that we move into the final random section. People can sort of talk about whatever they want. If you want to ask me anything before I go today, feel free to fire away and we can chat about random stuff for a bit. I'll stay on for a bit longer and yeah, we'll see what comes up. But it's been a good little stream, this. I quite enjoy a little Sunday morning stream. Nice way to start the day. I don't know what video I'm doing next. Oh, no, tomorrow it'll be, yeah, the video of Boxing Life. That should be a really good laugh. I'm excited about it. Oh, shit. Didn't mean to do that. Let's have a look at these comments. Sunday punch brunch. I need some brunch. I need some brunch, mate. That'd be nice. I've had some breakfast, but I'm just always hungry at the minute. I'm gonna get fat. Martin Wood Wilkinson, gonna make some dinner, mate. Thanks for the stream. Enjoy the rest of your day. Cheers, mate. You too. David says if you want, you should do some call-ins. I won't today, mate. I'm not in the mood, and I also don't know where my headphones are. So I will do them again soon, though. I do enjoy the call-in shows. It's fun hearing from other people. But yeah, just this morning I'm feeling a bit tired, so I'm happy just to kind of chat away with myself. David, Paddy Donovan can beat Pac-Man and Norman to become undisputed. I haven't watched enough Norman, I've got to be honest. I think Donovan would beat Pacquiao because I think he's got good enough feet and good lateral movement. But I like Paddy Donovan a lot, I really do. Sort of wonder about his punch power a little bit, but yeah, let's see. Got to come through that rematch first, although you'd say he should win comfortably. Ball Goodman, who wins? I haven't watched enough Goodman. I can't answer that. But I like Nick Ball a lot. Ray Mancini, underrated or overrated? Haven't watched Ray Mancini. Tad Duran, yeah, dude, a proud day. But you know when you realise levels in the gym, you're like, I am smashing it, and then you get in with a senior lol. Seeing stars comes to mind. Yeah. Like, the biggest thing when you start sparring is you just realise how insanely important feet are. You know, you just can feel like a right twat when you try and press forward on someone and they just take it away from you instantly, and then they press you down again, and you're tired, and suddenly you can't move away the way that they could. And yeah, but yeah, I look, I'm not gonna proclaim I spar more. I need to spar more, definitely. And I do still have ambitions to do like train like a pro series. It's just at the moment, the way the channel's going, the way work's going, I just do not have time to commit to a series like that, but I think it would perform really well. Mineski says, hi from Germany. Hello, mates. Chris Gray says, Henry, do you have a favourite city or town in the UK? My favourite city in the UK is Edinburgh. I lived there on and off for 7 years, and I love Edinburgh, but it's just not got enough going on for me to live there again. It's a very cliquey, very small city. There's not a huge population. A lot of tourism, not much industry, means that it's kind of hard to have like a regular life there, in my opinion. I've got lots of mates there who have a great time, but yeah, it's also just too cold too often. But Edinburgh in the summertime might be the best city in the world. It's unbelievable. Dave P. All right, let's have it. This is an interesting one to talk about. Hi, Henry. At a bit of a loss what I'm doing with my career, struggling to find my way and interest in video production and editing. Never done this before. Where would you advise I begin? Thanks. That's a good question. How old are you, Dave? I'd love to know more about your situation. But what I'll say is this. Video production and editing, it's something that you can very much be a self-starter in. but you need to know what you're going to do with it, if that makes sense. What I'd say is if you just like it anyway, you can start out by just teaching yourself. That's what I did. So I literally did a couple of trips with some mates. These were the first videos I ever made of any description. Went out with some mates and I filmed the trips with my iPhone, and then I turned them into little travel videos, like half an hour long travel videos. Edited it all together with music. There's an editing software called DaVinci Resolve by Blackmagic, and it's free, and the basic editing tools on it are absolutely perfect to make a video. So I'd highly recommend downloading that. Just start filming stuff that you like and care about, and start messing around with editing software, putting videos into the timeline and piecing it all together. And mate, the thing that people don't understand about video editing is whatever you want to do, there's probably a tutorial on YouTube somewhere. And then when you get to a certain level, you can start to innovate and figure things out for yourself. There's certain things I do on my videos that other people don't. I've not seen other people doing, and I think a lot of people don't know how I do a lot of this stuff. I've had people messaging me, for example, about like the on-screen annotations for my breakdowns and things like that. That's just stuff I figured out how to do because I've been doing this a while now, so I kind of understand what's available to me. And I just think, mate, just do it. Experiment. You don't need much to be able to go and make your first video. A phone and a PC. That's all you need, and then you can download the free software. Film anything. Film your dog. Go out and film your walk. Anything you want. Download a song and then cut a load of random clips to it. Go on YouTube. YouTube to MP4. Type that in. Download YouTube videos. Re-edit them. Pick your favorite boxer. Go and download all their fights. Make highlight videos. Put it to music. Copyright-wise, I wouldn't risk uploading it to YouTube, but you could definitely just have it for yourself just to practice it. There's so much you can do, man. There's so many ways you can do it. But I would say that if you want to become a video person, you need to have some sort of area of interest that you want to target when you do it, which is kind of the hardest bit, really. But you can definitely teach yourself how to be a video editor, producer, whatever. I quite like answering questions like that, so if anybody else wants to ask stuff about career things and that, we can definitely talk, because I've had a bit of a mad life. I've done so many different weird things. So yeah. Exactamundo, Luke Partridge versus Usyk. Usyk. Easy. 202 Ultra. What do you find to be the most affordable, decent quality boxing gear in UK and Oz? I'm curious if it differs from the US. I need to research, mate. Is it Hayabusa? Is that what it's called? I was going to say Hasbulla then. That's not boxing gear. That's the little dwarf guy. Do I find it differs? Yeah, Hayabusa I think are meant to be good value for money. I don't know though. I think the best stuff just is expensive, to be honest. Tad says I've got... is it Tad? Is that how I say it, or Tag? I've got a lot of empathy for fighters who have bad hands since I remember I wanted to go pro, but I'm 34 now, same age as me, and my hand is still ruined from that. Love the sport and love your channel. Thank you very much, mate. Yeah, I mean, Shakur Stevenson's a good example of someone who's held back by bad hands. Miles Carey. Henry, have you seen the Regis Progress fight yet? Crazy slugfest. I saw a few highlights. I've not sat down and watched it properly, but I will. Cass says, what's your favourite Oasis song, Henry? Oh, mate, that's a good question. So many for so many different reasons. At the minute, I've been listening to Morning Glory a lot, but if I had to pick one, I love Acquiesce. Maybe, oh, I don't know, there's so many, man. Best vocals would probably Slide Away. Supersonic's unbelievable. Fuck, I don't know, man. That's an impossible question to answer. Yeah, I'm going to say Acquiesce, but it's difficult. Oh, no, but then there's also the Master Plan. I love Liam's voice more, but the Master Plan is one of my favourite songs of all time. But it just depends what mood I'm in. Mark H, as a Chelsea fan, would you buy Garnacho? No, I don't like Garnacho. I do not want him at Chelsea, but maybe I'm wrong. Vamsey says, where does AJ rank in the all-time list for you? Well, as a heavyweight, maybe top 50? I don't really know, man. I need to sit and think about that. Maybe top 30? I'm not sure. It's a difficult one. David says, I'm going to Windsor Park to watch Donovan win the world title in person. Hell yeah, bro. You enjoy that. Michael says, all these top legends, Ali, Tyson, Pacquiao, carry on with the legend inside them. They fill stadiums, TV, pay-per-view. It's about the money, but I get it. Just a shadow of them of themselves, but the public buy it. Yeah, 100% true, mate. 100% true. IBR says, fantasy fight, Holyfield versus Ron Lyle. Who wins? I haven't watched much of Ron Lyle, so I can't answer that, but I've heard of him, of course, and Holyfield obviously tremendous. So that's something I need to study for sure. Stephen Dyer says best Irish fighter of all time. If you're including MMA, you'd probably say Conor McGregor, wouldn't you? But women's boxing is Katie Taylor, clearly. Who's the best male Irish fighter of all time? Carl Frampton's got to be up there, hasn't he? I wonder. Okay, personal question from Tad or Tag, sorry, I don't know how to say your name, mate. What have you done for work which has taken you all around the world? It's my video stuff, man, but it's more that I can be in different places when I have my work. And a lot of periods of time I've not had a rental that I'm paying. So I just take the money I've got and I use it to pay for accommodation in other places. But yeah, it's been challenging at times. There's been times when I've had no money coming in and I've been on the other side of the world, which is pretty intimidating. But I've just always believed in what I'm doing, and I've always felt like I'm going to find the right niche and the right way to position myself. So this is part of that, and my business with my creative video stuff for businesses is part of that too. But yeah, I mean, I enjoy all of it really. I'd love it if the channel was the thing solely in a way, because it's so flexible. I could literally be anywhere doing this, and flexibility is really important to me. So yeah. Chris says, I truly reckon Norman Jr. whips Haney. Let's see, mate. Stephen Dyer says, learning how is a very good use of ChatGPT. Oh, 100%, mate. ChatGPT is epic. I use it a lot. Very, very useful. Oh, you're going to UK next summer. Nice. But bro, Edinburgh is the best city in the UK to listen. For visiting, in my opinion, Edinburgh is unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable. Great pubs. Tighe. Okay, got you, mate. Sorry. Yeah, great pubs. Great walks. So many hills and stuff like that to go up. It's got a bit of coastline as well. If you go in August, the Fringe Festival's on. There's just like beer gardens everywhere. Yeah, it's absolutely epic. Boy, Oasis played all the bangers. Absolutely. Tig says best Oasis song is Talk Tonight. It's a good song, but it's definitely not one of my favorites. Fight Sport Talk says, how long have you been freelancing? Like 7 years. Will AI take over, kill your industry? I think parts of it will go. I think it will always be alive in live sports. But I definitely think that certain, B-roll footage will go, because AI can just take care of that. But I always think that people are going to want to hear from real people. And if the internet is simply full of AI video, then what do we trust? How are people going to trust companies if all companies are using is AI video? You have to hear from the people you're actually going to be working with. That's my ethos and my attitude. And my work always revolves around getting the best out of people and getting human stories and human messages and human connection across, because that is what humanity runs on, is connection at the end of the day. And I don't believe that AI video can completely replace that. So yeah, it'll take over parts of it, but I still think there's going to be a place for real people talking in video. Any thoughts on the Bivol Beterbiev or Better Beav, or however the hell I say it, trilogy being postponed? As a big Bivol fan, I'm a bit disappointed. I don't know when it's being postponed to, but yeah, I'd like them to just get on with it, to be fair. Get it done, or go and fight other people, because I've seen those fights enough, to be fair. I know how they look now. So yeah. Exactamundo says, I click off AI videos, I'm not bothered what calculators have to say. Exactly, we're not looking for a algorithmic machine based answer. It's a great tool, it's a great thing to generate video to support a point or a story or whatever. Ultimately though, I think people want to hear from people. That's my strong belief. The problem you're going to have is when you're not sure if they're real people or not, which is happening, but they're gonna have to regulate it, because you can't. It's unethical, in my opinion, to have, for example, let's say a CEO has to do an apology video and they get an AI generated video to do that apology. It's unethical, in my opinion. Tally says fights started. I don't know if there's any fights on right now, to be fair. I don't think there are. I'm just having a general bit of chit-chat. Tiger says, AI is a great tool, but humans need other humans. Exactly, mate. That is it. As a film lover, have you delved into Werner Herzog and his documentaries? I have not at all. Not to my knowledge, anyway. Chris says, what's your favorite fight or fights of all time? Mine would be either Hagler versus Hearns or Taylor versus Serrano. Favorite fight of all time. Well, in terms of ones I've watched live, McGregor-Farouk was incredible. AJ Klitschko was unbelievable as a fan to watch that. And I'm trying to think about fights I watched live that I really, really enjoyed. Because a lot of them a lot of the ones with all the hype and the build-up really let you down, you know? I'll have to think about that one. Those are the ones I struggle to answer off the top of my head, to be fair. I don't have that answer readily available to me. Michael Lynch says, great start to Sunday. Cheeky fun 90-minute with all the boxing family here. Top stuff, mate. Hell yeah, bro. You know how we do. Steven says, AI ultimately is going to get caught in a loop. It uses stuff on the internet to generate answers or images, etc. Problem being, the more of that stuff becomes AI, it's learning from itself. So that's actually an interesting point, yeah. Yakov says, who has the best 1-2 you've seen? Maybe Vladimir Klitschko. His 1-2 was pretty nasty. Do you know what? Wilder's 1-2 was pretty good. Even though it's like not... So many things that Wilder did were not good, but his 1-2 was very, very fast and powerful. So yeah. Up there, for sure. Yeah, good question. David says, watched Kyosuke Takami on Wednesday winning the WBA light flyweight belt, and he looked unreal. Next Japanese sensation. Cool, I'll check it out at some point. Apparently, Benavidez versus Yard is a one and done fight for Benavidez with Riyadh. Oh, interesting. Well, we'll see. I'm sure I'll be back with them at some point if they take over the way that we think they will. Jimbo Jones' best ring walk I've seen. Honestly, I think it was that Eubank Jr. ring walk for the Conor Ben fight. It was absolutely fantastic. So emotional. Kell Brook, when he fought Triple G, was an incredible ring walk. All of the lights, that was probably the most intense all of the lights I've ever seen. Dave Allen's Fields of Gold, always a favourite of mine as a fan. Ain't No Stopping Us Now, David Hay, right up there. Who else did I enjoy? Yeah, I think those are probably the main ones. Oh yeah, Lennox Lewis 1-2. Yeah, good shout, good shout. Am I a fan of Nassim Hammett? I wouldn't say I'm a fan, but of course, like, incredible to watch. His ring walk was great too. The magic carpet one that he did, coming out to "Send Me Forget Me Nots" or whatever it's called. Amazing song. Fantasy fight, Marciano versus Usyk. I honestly don't know, mate, because I've not watched enough Marciano to answer that. But from what I understand about Marciano, it sounds like he would have had an interesting style for Usyk, but Usyk's feet are just so good. The Klitschko's had fantastic ring walks. Yeah, they did have good ring walks, actually, to be fair. Very, very good. I'm trying to think who else's ring walks I enjoy. There was someone recently that I really enjoyed. I like Usyk's ring walk, you know. I really like Usyk's ring walk. That song, that that is a sick ring walk song because it's so iconic now. I'm always going to think of Usyk when I hear that song. Oh, do you know what the worst ring walk ever is? Do you remember when Scott Quigg walked from his house to the arena he was fighting in? And it took ages. That was the worst ring walk I've ever seen. That was so boring and weird. Does anyone remember that? Let's see if we can get it. Hang on, let me see if I can find it. We'll watch this, and then this might be the last thing we talk about today. Oh, this is so funny. Oh, here it is. Yeah, this is it here. Oh, this is too funny, man. Oh, this will tickle you all. I'm not going to play the sound, but we can just watch it and you'll be like, what is this guy doing? Right. Let's watch this. Right. Let's see if you remember this, people. Oh my god, just so weird, man. It is playing. There we go. Yeah, look, Scott Quigg's house just around the corner. He's actually come out of his house. And then it's so awkward, like walks. This is such a weird ring walk. I think the whole thought behind it was like, oh, we'll try and show like how local he is. Like you should really back the local boy, but it's just weird. Like there's someone, they haven't blurred that person's license plate either. There was a voxel there. It's just I don't know, whoever thought this was a good idea. Just what? Oh man, so funny. I'd love to know who came up with this idea. I remember seeing this at the time and being like, what on earth? Yeah, it is funny without the music, isn't it? I don't know. They must have filmed that earlier in the day or something for it to cut to him then being actually in the arena. Or maybe someone's cut that short when they uploaded it after. I don't remember exactly. But yeah, you can see the kind of stuff I like getting recommended in my next video. But yeah, anyway, absolutely mental. So funny. Looks like he's off to the offie, exactly. Just so funny. Absolutely hilarious. What do I think about Itauma Zhang? It's one of them where Zhang could time him, but Itauma would have the work rate to beat him for sure. And it's work rate that beats Zhang every single time. Scott Quigg was a serious dude. He was a serious dude, yeah. I don't think it was Quigg Frampton. I don't think it was. I think it was something else. I don't remember who. I don't remember who was fighting for that one. Yeah. Cool, guys. If anybody wants to fire in any last super chats, then I'll do those. But other than that, I'm going to head off because we've done an hour and 45 minutes. But yeah, any final super chat questions you want to get in, I will answer those. Otherwise, I'll see you on the next video, which will probably be the analysis I'm doing with Boxing Life Jamie on this channel, where we're going to sit down, watch some highlights together, and try and figure out what Itauma's weaknesses are, if any. If any, indeed. Thanks, everyone. I'm glad you enjoyed that. I thought that was pretty fun, actually, to be fair. Read some of these last comments out. As I say, I'll take any last-minute supers as well, but we'll just read these otherwise. Boy says, fair play. Thanks, Henry. Chris Gray says, peace, mate. B&H says, Loma walking to MSG was awesome. I don't remember that one. I'll need to go and check that out again. Thanks, Tig. Appreciate it, mate. Cass says, great live, Henry. Thanks, mate. Stephen Dyer, cheers for the live stream, mate. Really enjoyable channel. Hell yeah, bro. 202 Ultra, thanks, Henry. And all in chat who made this another enjoyable stream. 202 Ultra, you are a diehard fan, mate. I don't know what time it is for you right now, but it must be bloody late. Peace out, Fight Sport Talk, mate. Good to see you as ever. Jimbo Jones says the taxi ring walks were weird at Times Square. Yeah, they were weird as hell. Aussie Longshanks missed most of it, but still had fun. Mate, you can go back and watch it. Don't worry. You can rewind it, and it will all be there. Yeah. Absolutely, mate. When we next do a call-in show, I will have you on. I think with those call-in shows, what they can be quite good for is breaking news. Maybe that's when we'll aim to do those ones. But I just incorporate it randomly as well. I think it's a nice thing to do. I just wasn't in the mood today, to be fair. I'm still pretty jet lagged, pretty tired, but I'm not too bad, to be fair. I'm just working weird hours at the moment. I'm getting up super early. I've already been up for 5 hours today, so yeah, it's one of them. All right, guys, thanks so much for joining me. It's been a great stream. I'll see you next time in the fight room. as I always say, on to the next one.